Welcome back. 15 minutes to 1 o'clock. With the global shortage in healthcare workers, many industrialized countries are offering special dispensation visas, quick turnaround times in applications, reduced visa fees to particularly attract people in the healthcare sector. Particularly being attracted is South African nurses, healthcare workers to the United Kingdom. Should South Africa be doing the same? Should they be attracting particularly people with scarce skills to the country? Not too long ago, the Department of Home Affairs released its list of the skill shortage in South Africa. Top of that list was, of course, engineers, people in the mechanical sector. Joining me now, Marisa Jacobs, director of Xpatweb. She's joining me now. There is a global race to particularly attract healthcare workers as people look to try and buffer themselves, or governments try to buffer themselves from the COVID-19 pandemic. South African healthcare workers being very much attracted by foreign governments to leave South Africa and go work overseas. Marisa?
Hi, Lester. Yeah, definitely. It's a growing concern, and we've got very good educational courses and degrees in the healthcare sector in South Africa. For example, in Canada, any graduate from any country has to do a bridging course in Canada before they can enter the medical field. Except for those who graduated in South Africa, they can immediately enter the medical field. So there's a high demand for medical graduates from South Africa, and they are being attracted to foreign countries, and that in turn results in having a skill shortage in South Africa in that particular sector, as well as other sectors like ICT, which is growing in demand, and as such, we need to compete for those skills, both to retain the South Africans, I guess, on the one side, as well as to attract foreigners with those skills to supplement our skill level in South Africa.
It's a double-edged sword for South Africa, because on one hand you have people with institutional knowledge, particularly in education, healthcare, reaching retirement age and almost being encouraged to leave so that the vast number of unemployed graduates can come into that space. But then you're stuck with all this experience that is essentially being dangled carrots from industrialized countries to say, come work for us instead.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who are nearing retirement age and who look at those opportunities. They've got 5 or 10 years left in their employment life, and this is a very good time to go and work abroad and earn extra money, save up for retirement, and then of course we lose that fantastic skill level, which is also this sector of guys who are supposed to be transferring and training and taking under their wing these new graduates and getting them up to speed. So it's a tough situation.
South Africa needs to also attract scarce skills to this country. Not too long ago, the Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan said that it was probably a mistake of South Africa to let go of many experienced engineers, particularly when it comes to Eskom, have somewhat then announced plans to try and attract many of those engineers back. I don't know how far that process is, but South Africa, in order to maybe get us back on the right path, particularly when it comes to our industrialization program, probably going to be offering certain facilities to attract people with scarce skills to South Africa, maybe even attracting some of those people who've already left back to the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's in South Africa we have the critical skills list, which is a list of all the skills that the department through research have determined these are the skills that we need and that we are in shortage of, or that we need for strategic projects and to attract investors and to grow the economy. So that list is currently under review. And it's being circulated for public commentary to make sure that the final list that then gets published, the previous list was from 2014, so it's due for an update, and there's lots of commentary around the skills that haven't been included on the list that absolutely should be on there, and from our point of view, we conduct a survey every year to determine amongst employers what are the skills that they find most difficult to recruit. And as you've mentioned, engineers is top of that list according to the survey, where guys struggle to find engineers correctly qualified and with the correct experience on projects to be able to execute in terms of engineering. ICT is another sector that comes up high. Healthcare professionals, of course. C-suite executives with international experience, especially where companies are looking to expand into Africa or to expand internationally. They're looking for guys who have experience and have done such expansions and such growth projects.
But on the issue of ICT, many companies, moving to a remote working environment. That also probably essentially means you don't even need to physically be in South Africa to be hired anymore.
Absolutely. So that's a big topical discussion in webinars and HR forums at the moment is you need the skill, but you need them to be physically present in the country. On some projects, perhaps not, and for some occupations, perhaps not. We've seen some projects where engineers are being video called in, and someone is walking around with a GoPro on their head and showing what needs to be done, and they're getting engineering advice from Geneva or Switzerland, for example, and someone in South Africa is executing based on that instruction. So there's definitely a move towards remote working, but in some instances, of course, it's more practical than in other instances.
Marisa Jacobs, Director of Xpatweb, thank you so much for joining us here on the Midday Report.